I don't know what it is this year. My hands are just fumbling. Just fumbling. I don't know. Part 2. This is the next day, and I had to stop midway to do some other things, and I didn't get to come back to complete my seed starting yesterday. So some of my trays were left unfinished, but what I did complete yesterday, I finished the geraniums. This is the Maverick mix that I showed you yesterday. So this is completed. This is ready to go on a heat mat, but I didn't put it on a heat mat yet. So I need to do that today, but I will do this after. And yesterday we also completed the begonias. This is a tray of just white begonias. It's been sitting on the heat mat so you can see. Ooh. Now, I didn't say this, I may not have said this yesterday, but the begonias were very frustrating to start because for some reason the pelleted seeds kept slipping from my hands. And the geraniums, I had a 12 cell tray and I had 11 geraniums. So I ended up filling the last cell with some begonias. Hopefully I remember that, or hopefully you remind me when it's time. So the tray that I didn't complete yesterday was the tray. I don't know why I covered it. I guess just to make sure that the soil remained moist. But we need to do this entire tray, and this tray is going to be the oregano, the dianthus, I'm looking at them, the foxgloves, the stock, and I might be missing something else. So let's get started on this tray, and then after that we should be done. I'm going to start off by wetting this tray. It feels pretty moist, but I'm going to still add a layer of moisture because I left it out for an entire day. Okay. So my goal is to use, let's see, one row for the oregano and lemongrass, so they're gonna sit here. One row for the dianthus, they're gonna go here. One row for the stock, and then one entire row for the foxglove. This is how we're gonna set it up today. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the carousel foxgloves. Now, I first learned about this flower from a movie. I think the name of the movie was called The Intruder. And that movie was about a man who basically poisoned the people who ended up buying his house by giving them foxgloves, because foxgloves are poisonous, and that's how he tried to kill them. So that's how I learned about foxgloves. I thought it was really interesting, and then I thought, oh, I should just grow this poisonous plant. Why not? But they're very pretty. They're gorgeous. I love having them in my garden, and I do have foxgloves plants in my garden. So what happens every year is that they drop seeds, and I do have some seedlings that sprout by the end of the season. And what I do is I just move those seedlings to where I want them the next year, and then I leave them there. This one will bloom the first year from seed, but some foxgloves will not bloom the first year. If you start them now, some of them will bloom, they're like biannual, so they'll not bloom the first year but the second year. And so you always want to do a succession sowing every year of foxgloves. I don't have this issue. If I start this today, this is going to bloom by summer. Let's get started. I'll do a row of foxgloves. Now these seeds are so tiny, and I think I saved seeds one year from my foxglove plant, but look how tiny these seeds are. I'm not even trying to be accurate with this. I'm just gonna sprinkle it over the soil surface, and the instructions say it says to cover it, but I'm not gonna cover it. I'm just gonna put it over the soil, put some vermiculite on, and that's how I'm gonna deal with this. So I'm gonna do one row of foxgloves. Once the seedlings sprout, I will thin out the plants, so I'm not worried about sowing them densely right now. I'm really just trying to get them started. I could use another container to just start foxgloves, but it's fine. I just feel like putting them all into one package here. So I've put them in this row, and then I'm just going to brush my fingers over the soil to pat them in. And that's it. We should be good. Okay. And where's my label? Here we go. Foxgloves. Done. Next, we're going to work on the stalk. I've mentioned that stalk is what I consider a cool flower. It likes cold temperatures. I don't like stalk because I find the blooms to be short, and maybe that's just the variety that I'm growing. These two I got from Florette, apricot and buttercream. They are very fragrant. So I'm gonna do 3 rows of buttercream and then 3 rows of the apricot. I'm not looking for a lot of stalk. The back of the seed packet says to start stalk indoors 6 to 8 weeks before my last frost, but I'm starting them now, and here's why. Like I've said before, stalk loves cool weather and can even tolerate a light frost, which makes it perfect for early spring or fall planting. But once temperatures rise, it can become leggy, bloom poorly, or stop growing altogether. In my experience, when I start stalk according to the packet's timeline, I usually get blooms by late May or early June. But by then the heat is creeping in and they don't last as long. That's why I'm starting my stalk earlier than the seed packet suggests. Since it thrives in cool temperatures and can even handle a light frost, I can plant it out earlier than more tender flowers like zinnias, giving them more time to grow and bloom before the summer heat sets in. Now we're going to work on the apricot stalk. There we go. Here are some other fun facts about stalk. So number 1 is that they prefer full sun. They need at least 6 hours of direct sunlight for the best blooms. Number 2 is that they are highly fragrant, especially in the evening. Stalk has a spicy, clove-like scent that attracts pollinators. Number 3, they come with single or double blooms. So some stalk varieties produce double flowers, which are fuller and more decorative, while single blooms produce more seeds. And last but not least, they're edible flowers. Stalk blooms are edible and sometimes can be used as garnishes. Let me know in the comments if you are starting stalk this season and if you're starting them earlier like I am. Okay, next we're going to work on Dianthus. I have 2 varieties here. I have more. I just wanted to limit it to 2 varieties. I put these in containers in the spring, and they're beautiful, and they will last throughout most of the season. In really hot temperatures in the summer, I find they wither away, but great spring flower up until early summer. And I'm using 2 varieties. One is from Renee's Garden. It's the fragrant Dianthus, and it has multicolors. Again, this is my garden palette. And then the second is from Mr. Foxgloves. It's the pink oilettes. I just like the color tones here. So these are the 2 that I'll be starting. see I have blue across a lot of my seed packets. I'm using painter's tape. I'm using this painter's tape, and that's how I close my seed packets. You probably can't see it while I'm doing my seed starting, but I have seeds all over the floor. For some reason, I've been so clumsy and I've been dropping some of the seed packages and the seeds have been tumbling. I've been trying to put them back in, and some of these are expensive seeds. So I just need to do a better job of not dropping the packages and trying to keep the seeds contained. I'll try my best, but I don't know what it is this year. My hands are just fumbling. I don't know. Okay, we're down to our last row, and in that row we're gonna put in some lemongrass, and we're gonna put in some white flowering Greek oregano. The flowers are pretty. Mine flowered last year at some point, and I thought the flowers were very pretty. And I think this year what I'm going to do is I'm gonna have one or a couple of plants that are for like pure cutting and preserving, and then another plant I'm actually going to keep just for flowering, because I find that they're just gorgeous. They smell great, they look good in the garden. Now last year in the corner of one of my beds I had alyssum, and it was gorgeous. It was beautiful, and it attracted some beneficial insects to my garden, and I'm curious if I do the same thing but with the oregano, the flowering oregano, if I'm going to have the same effect. I think I will. I'll put alyssum in a different bed and try a bed with Greek oregano and have it flowering and see what it does. But I think it's great when you are able to use some of your herbs and have it go to I guess you can say go to seed or flower, because some of the insects that they attract can be beneficial to your garden. And I have a lot of insects in my garden, a lot of wasps. Like, I don't kill the wasps or the bees or anything like that in my garden. I try to use them to my benefit, and I think the wasps do more good than harm in my garden. And I'm hoping that stuff like this will continue to promote a good ecosystem in my backyard. So we're gonna do half of this, and then the lemongrass, I started lemongrass for the last year, and I did it the year before as well. I grew this in a container with other herbs. So I grew calendula, I grew lemongrass, I grew chamomile, I grew basil, all in one container. I will not do that again. But I never harvested the lemongrass. I don't know why. I guess I didn't know how to preserve the lemongrass. I don't know if I'm supposed to dehydrate it or I'm supposed to do something else with it. So let me know in the comments how you preserve lemongrass. But I just did nothing with it, and it's such a waste because it's a great herb, and you can use it in cooking. And I do a lot of Asian cooking, and I should know better. I should just preserve the lemongrass for cooking. But I'm gonna try this again. I'm probably gonna put it in a different bed, and I'm going to use it as, both for preserving, but also it looks gorgeous. Imagine that in your bed with other vegetables and plants. It looks like a grass. Doesn't it look like an ornamental grass? I think so. So I'm going to use it as decor plus harvesting. You just have to remind me to harvest the lemongrass. So let's get started. Okay, so now comes the problem. I need to find somewhere for all of this to go. I do need a heat mat, and I have one in use, and I need to put both this tray that we just did and the geraniums on a heat mat. So let me try to figure this out. All done, and cleanup time.